Brother, welcome to a hastily thrown together reshot episode of Slamcast. I am your host, joined by me, that's right, Russo Swerve, Michael Burhan's here. Hey!
Yeah, I was asked to do this episode today. I'm actually staying at family's house for like a couple of days. And I was asked to do this episode, and after all this whole Hogan thing unfolded, I was like,
We had to because, short version of this story is we did an episode literally Thursday night.
Yes.
Before this whole story broke, me, Nick, and Dave, we had a lovely discussion that you'll probably never hear ever unless we decide to release it as we'll probably release it someday. But this lovely discussion about how TNA is going to die off and the wrestling industry is going to be better off for it because everyone's going to move up. And then this happens and just totally renders everything we talked about in that episode mute. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Retro on Limb Network. Welcome to the Slamcast. I am your host, Brandon Liggan. Russo Swerve, Michael Burhan joins us, taking over executive producer duties, is still Mr. Nick Horaceck.
Yeah. I'm here via Skype mic only tonight.
Yes.
The whole funny thing about this, the whole shebang about the situation was when it all unfolded, when the whole Hogan thing happened, I was sitting here at home, well, not home, but, on a couch, on my friend's couch, trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because it was literally Hogan says something racist, and I'm thinking,
when this whole thing happened, I thought it was kayfabe news.
Yeah.
I really had to check the source of this.
But this is the thing, right? This is the thing. This has come from Gawker.com, and this has been leaked on TMZ.com.
Yes.
Right,
it just goes to show a little bit, you don't fuck with Gawker Media, man.
Yeah.
They will ruin you.
Oh my God, yes.
The thing is, Hogan, I think they probably blackmailed Hogan. I've got a funny feeling they blackmailed him and said, if you don't stop the lawsuit, we're going to...
I think he probably knew that this was going to happen, but we'll talk more about later. In case you've been living under a rock, we'll frame the scenario for you.
Right.
Early Friday morning, TMZ releases transcripts of the Hulk Hogan sex tape, the full audio transcripts of it, in which the Hulkster himself, the paragon of 80s integrity, is caught using the hard R, the N-word with the hard R.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because we record this thing Thursday night, and I figured, because I worked Friday night, so I figure I'm going to render it while I'm at work, and then I'm going to upload it when I get home. Well, I wake up about noon, and this whole fucking thing is blown up. Shaky Baby chimed in and asked, Hulk Hogan, what the fuck you talk about my black brother?
That point in time, that's when the internet just became wildfire, and then that's when the real true great creative meme artists really kind of took over, and we've really just seen gold for this. But this is really gonna majorly affect not only WWE's stock prices, we've seen it take a big hit in the business thing, but this is going to affect the roster as a whole, because now we won't be able to see the Mega Maniacs. Or the Mega Powers, that's what they're calling themselves.
They've just basically destroyed that group. Axel's push is gone.
I mean, he big booted and leg dropped that thing. I mean,
he wasn't a significant push, but it was gone.
But
Hogan's gone tough enough as well.
Yeah, that's also happening. But let's get back at the heart of this
the nitty-gritty.
Thing. Exactly, because this is what I feel about this whole thing. Look, the way the climate is racially in this country, this is absolutely the wrong time for this to come out. Saying I'm not saying that there's a right time for this, but
in
this
the age
now,
of the Donald Sterlings and the Paula Deans and
the Rachel Dolezals. I mean, this isn't just a
and Donald Trump's.
well,
we said that already.
Yeah, about Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump, go fuck yourself.
Wish we could forget about. I wish we could forget about Donald Trump, but unfortunately,
we can't.
Yeah, I love that he goes. You need a businessman to run this country. Has been bankrupt 4 times.
4 times. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, back to Hogan.
Yeah.
Getting Benoit.
It really is, and that's really truly the sad thing. But Hulk Hogan didn't kill a guy. What did Hulk Hogan say? He used the N-word with the hard R.
Yes.
While he was giving the big boot and leg drop to his best friend's Mrs. Secretly
while his best friend was taping it. While his sick best friend was taping it.
Cuckolding him. He was
cuckolding and decided to release the video to Gawker Media for money because apparently Bubba Love Sponge was hard up for cash.
Well, I can see that after you get your ass kicked by Awesome Kong in a locker room.
Well, for using the N-word.
Yes! Oh my god.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing. I'm going to point... there's 2 schools of thoughts on this in my idea. I grew up being a Hulkamaniac. The first match that I watched when I was a kid was WrestleMania 7. I was, a very lonely kid, bullied at school, you name it, all that stuff. And a friend of mine was like, hey, you need to watch wrestling. And he was a fan of the Ultimate Warrior, and I saw this guy called Hulk Hogan. I was a kid who loved the whole Americana shtick, the whole...
You were over on the gimmick, brother. You were all about it.
All about it. I drank my milk. I had my...
You said your prayers.
I said my prayers, man.
You took your vitamins.
I took my vitamins.
You stayed in school.
I stayed in school. I learned. And, when it got to the phase of when Hogan left the company and joined WCW and then turned heel, I kind of was very wrapped up in that gimmick. I got angry. It's like, how could you do this to me?
Well, like I said, I've said this before. That moment when Hogan turns heel is a wrestling psychology and actual psychology intertwined. Because yes, it was a great psychological moment, but that is literally a metaphor for an entire generation's father figure walking out on them.
Yeah, it's basically like the death of Optimus Prime.
We should have been saying, "No, Daddy, no!" Like that's what everyone who was in that building in Orlando should have been saying that day.
Yeah, but when I decided, like, I looked at the back of the Bill Apter magazine, World of Wrestling, found an advert for a wrestling school, joined up with the FWA, and then learned a lot more about the business. I started learning about, how this whole kayfabe thing was just
how it worked, brother. I think in honor of Hogan, I think we should end every sentence on this podcast with brother.
I'll let you do that, but
brother.
It's
okay. I'm definitely gonna do it, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, it basically was one of those things. I learned about the business, started to understand it. Also, the fact that Hogan went from being as soon as we saw Hogan Knows Best, and as soon as we started,
that's when he got demystified. That's when he no longer became this, iconic American icon. That's when he just became a regular 55-year-old dad.
Yeah.
with teenage children that really kind of don't respect him.
Yeah, and in my honest opinion as well, I think professional wrestling, the reality age of professional wrestling has kind of ruined
reality TV.
Faces.
Reality TV has
it's ruined the heels and faces of pro wrestling. But we all knew that Hogan was very difficult to deal with backstage,
those stories are definitely being told in a whole new light now.
Yeah. So you knew he was difficult to work with. You knew Hogan was very anti.
I mean, look, everybody that's ever said that this guy was a piece of shit scumbag, CM Punk most notably, most recently at least, the Iron Sheik. Who else is very not pro Hulk Hogan that I can think of?
Oh, by the way, I did on an offset topic. I did love the fact when Virgil goes to CM Punk. Hey, dude!
Love,
give me a shout out, and Punk was like, "No, you're a fucking piece of shit." And then just
you're calling like a fucking hack or some shit like that.
And he's like,
and then
hack.
Virgil makes a comment like a 14-inch hog or some shit.
He was like, dude, that was harsh.
God.
Punk, like I said, Punk. I think if you watch the video of Punk handling someone trying to take him down at a UFC meet and greet, you know you're not. You better become prepared if you want to verbally spar with Phil Brooks.
Yes, he can. Oh my God, he is too.
Verbal jujitsu, my friends. Verbal jujitsu.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. It's definitely something.
But it's, you know, in terms of Hogan, everyone knew what Hogan was, a complete asshole.
Well, everyone had an idea.
Yeah.
Everyone knew the politics. Everyone knew the games he would play.
I
know,
think
Austin is another one. Austin hated Hogan for what he tried to hold him down during his WCW run.
No, the sex tape itself, I think, was like completely demystified Hulk Hogan the person.
Yeah, when
Terry
that happened, I was just like,
person.
I was literally just, as soon as I heard that he released a sex tape, they released a sex tape with him and Bubba Love Sponge's wife. My hands were up in the air so far. I just went, that's it. I'm done. I'm tapped out, Hogan. Me and you, there was this little small smidge of respect I had left deep down in the bowels
it's
of my
and I'm
butt.
gonna pull what Dave said last night while we were recording. I got gameplay. Obviously, Hogan doesn't know best.
Yeah, no, he really does.
But
thank you, Dave.
But that's the thing. Here, like, if this was something that he was, came out and said while a microphone was in front of him, I completely agree with what the WWE did. And they had absolutely every right. They still have every right to do that because this is America and, he's their employee.
Fuck yeah.
But here's the thing. Hogan could have saved his job had he simply been proactive about this.
Yes.
Had he gone to the WWE's attorneys when he started this lawsuit, like, hey, I'm suing Gawker Media. I feel like my rights are violated, yada, yada, yada. But there may be some things that were said. I don't remember exactly. I was in a weird place. That's all you got to say, brother. It's like, hey, Trips, brother. I might have been not in a great place, brother, when I said those things, brother. So some things might come out, brother. So, brother, just so you guys should know, I don't really mean those things, brother. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, I've got a funny feeling that, Vince and co, back in the day, they were all saying it.
Look, put it this way. Oh, no. I'm sure Vince McMahon has called many. I shouldn't say sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vince McMahon has said that exact same word, used with the hard R, to describe a black talent that he thought was not up to par.
Yeah,
I'm going to say one in particular, maybe Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah, the WWE has been very much stereotypical in terms of the way they've coated their heels, as with Rusev and the whole Russian thing, or Muhammad Hassan being an Arab terrorist.
Right, but that's where the political times dictate a little bit of what you're giving people.
Yeah, it's easy heat.
It's easy, exactly, and it's simple. It's worked all the time. But this is what really irks me about what WWE is: the complete whitewashing of Hulk Hogan. The Ultimate Warrior, for about 10 years or so before his glorious return back to World Wrestling Entertainment at WrestleMania 30, spouted bigotry and hatred for profit.
Yeah.
For profit.
The amount of the F word
around the world and on the internet for about 10 years or so.
He used
the WWE.
Someone actually recorded it with their camera of the guy at a college.
There is video proof of this.
Yeah.
The WWE gives out an award in his honor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hypocrisy. Like, I'm surprised, that WWE doesn't have the level of self-awareness to be like,
then again,
let's step back.
Yeah, well, then again, bashing gays is still fashionable in this country, even though it's slowly fading.
It's not. Put it this way: Warrior didn't just bash gays; he bashed immigrants, he bashed Jews, he bashed Catholics, even. I think.
Oof.
He was all over the place for
a while.
I guess we'll call it the lost period in his career, his life.
And the thing is, I agree with you, and this is where the problem lies. when Hogan said that, he said that it was 2008, right? This is when my second daughter was born.
Something like that.
Allegedly.
That's when
because
the,
we haven't heard anything yet. We've seen a transcript, but we haven't heard anything. And
well,
I've
I mean, people have seen some.
Unless I see it myself, which I don't really want to see the tape. Unless I hear it myself.
I watched.
Unless I see it myself or hear it
myself.
myself.
This was 2000. I think the tape came out in like 2012 or something like that.
But this is the thing, and I'm gonna point this out. The fact that society is very, and I had an argument with someone on Twitter recently because he was calling him by his government name. He wasn't calling him Hulk Hogan.
Brother.
And I was like, you know how much of a disrespectful little shit you're saying out right now? And the dude was just like, I don't understand why you're getting angry. I'm like, I'm getting angry because you're calling a pro wrestler by his government name. You don't know him. You know Hulk Hogan. You don't know, this other dude. And I'm not gonna basically say that. I've got more respect for him that. Even though I don't, look, as a person, I'm gonna put my feelings out here. I don't like Hogan as a person. Publicly, the way that he represents himself as a person when the cameras are off and when everything's done.
The giant shill.
Yeah, that dude.
The fact
is a piece
that
of
he's
shit.
a shill for the network. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
just a shill for the WWE in general.
Period.
Now,
at this point.
As like the brand, as Hogan, as being, he was the first guy to be like an ambassador for the WWE who did the whole talking to kids and cancer patients.
To be honest with you, he's the perfect guy.
Yeah.
To be.
He was John Cena
ambassador.
Before John Cena.
No, absolutely. That's.
Yep.
I mean, his place in wrestling history is
Right,
cemented. No matter.
No, yeah. Before it was Cena wins LOL, it was Hogan wins LOL.
Yeah. So that's my first rebuttal there.
Actually, it was big boot and leg drop. LOL.
Yeah. So
either way,
number one, that's the one affirmative here is he is known as the company's main brand. The reason why the WWE basically started was because of Hogan. As a multinational conglomerated
they're absolutely built on the back of Hulk Hogan slamming on the giant.
Firstly, I would say for Vince for scrubbing him off, I would give Vince a great big fuck you for that, but that's me. Number two, I have heard this instances with police officers beating on young men and knocking them unconscious because of the color of their skin. I've seen it, I've seen videos of it, right? So if you're gonna step on your high horse and start attacking Hogan because he said something in private, then you need to start attacking all these people that have made these statements. Right. Thirdly, Vince has openly said this on TV.
Survivor Series 05, yes. But he didn't use the hard R.
No, he didn't use the hard R.
Mr. McMahon said it. Vincent McMahon didn't. Mr. McMahon.
Okay. Right. He was playing a character that is a likeness to himself, but it was still said on WWE television. Okay.
On
context.
It was cable. It was
in context. Right. It wasn't said to further a storyline. It wasn't said.
No, it was done. It was done extremely tongue in cheek because
the white guy that
it wasn't done.
Cena was doing the rapper gimmick still.
Anti against that word. It was done basically as a humorous pun to insinuate that John Cena is black. That's all it was. And Booker T looked at him shocked and said, "Tell me he didn't just say that." And
it was a rib on the famous Booker T
line. Oh, Hogan, we're coming for you, N-word. Yeah, right. I know that. And so you've got that as well. So the hypocrisy smells in this situation. Now, for those,
I'll play devil's advocate because this is where I don't think it's Vince McMahon controlling everything. This is where I think that it becomes World Wrestling Entertainment, the global financial juggernaut and publicly traded corporation. It is. This is where I think the situations leave the hands of Vincent Kennedy McMahon and the McMahon family.
I kind of agree. I kind of agree on that one.
I paused because I thought I was going to sneeze.
Okay.
But,
Michael P.S. Hayes. I'm good at that's my rebuttal to you. Michael P.S. Hayes, an incident that was about, it happened, and the man never lost his job over it. So how come he can say something to the hard R to Mark Henry, or the Alberto Del Rio situation when the guy basically wanted Del Rio to clean his plate?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, one of those guys no longer has a job.
Both of those guys no longer have the job with the company. When Del Rio left, they stood by this idiot. and then the idiot was allowed to quietly resign. All I'm saying is,
Michael P.S. Hayes still has a job with the WWE.
Yeah, and I agree with the fact that Hogan should have been fired. I agree with that. I'm 100% behind the WWE on that one.
Because it was a reaction. Because it was a reactionary measure. They're reacting to
the thing is, I think Hogan should have been given the chance to say his piece, to have a little mini press conference. If I was them, I would have get him to say his piece, apologize, and then resign from the.
Let him go, or just have him go away. Like, I mean, I understand having to take the merchandise off, but you don't have to. Like, this is what kills me about it, is how he's being publicly dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
For something that he said. For something that Benoit killed his wife and children. There's a slightly different.
This is what I'm saying. It's
slightly different circumstances involved.
You're treating him like he murdered someone and killed.
Exactly. Someone who murdered their wife and children does kind of deserve to be completely whitewashed from history for at least a good 50 to 60 years.
Yeah, yep. I agree with that, and the guy should never be wearing a Hall of Fame ring. I agree with that.
Exactly. No. I mean, unless you're going to induct. Well, he can't have it. Would unless he would have.
Unless you have a serial killer's wing.
Unless you have like living relatives and stuff like that, and you induct the. I don't know.
Or induct like Charles Manson in there as well. And the dude
he's not a serial killer. Are we gonna? Are we going to induct the guy who stabbed Bruiser Brody?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like that, and I get that. I understand the Benoit situation. But everybody who
we inducted Carlos Colon, who was culpable. Oh, sorry.
Do you know what I mean? But it's one of those things where you can sit there.
He was not actually culpable.
You can sit there and you can try and create an argument to Benoit was a great tactician, he was a great wrestler.
Yeah, I know.
Be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Benoit killed two people.
Yeah, that's it. That would be my rebuttal is killed his wife and child. Your argument is invalid.
Your argument is eternally invalid. Hulk Hogan said some dumb shit that he didn't know he was on camera. And it comes to light, many years later in a civil trial where he's trying to sue a massive media giant.
And I will say this, it was in private. And I'm sorry, I'm going to point this out.
We don't really know if it was in private because, they could just be saying that. Hogan could be into that. That could be something he willingly, participated in.
But the thing is, Hogan's done a lot for and I'm going to say this, the African American community. He has done a lot for it. He has been a part of that. He put over
Mr. T.
Freaking Muhammad Ali, man. Come on. The dude's been the dude has had friends. At the end of the day, right? I will say what he said was probably sex talk.
It was here's what he said. He was a guy who was upset at where his daughter's career was going.
Down the toilet.
He expressed extreme rage, and sometimes, it happens, man. We exist in a culture where racism is still heavily prevalent in our indebted into our brains, practically. Like, I don't know what it is.
Ignorance is prevalent as well.
Exactly.
Stupid. But everyone has made a mistake. For those who sat there in one hand and embraced Mel Gibson for his Jew slurs and give him a pass because he's a pretty good actor.
Because he made Braveheart and
he's a pretty good actor and he's a terrific director.
Well, he made Braveheart and Lethal Weapon and Mad Max.
And a lot of people have given it. And I'm on the side.
I'll trade some anti-Semitic comments for another Lethal Weapon movie. Yeah, I'll take that.
The thing. I'm on the side of forgive him because he made a mistake. He was intoxicated. He wasn't in the right mind.
Exactly.
He made a mistake.
And that's exactly where I think we were in agreement in that, like, where Hogan shouldn't be persecuted this much for this. Or I really don't think
from a dude of color. All right, I'm brown.
Yes,
okay?
you are brown.
I get called freaking Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. You name it, I get called it. I've got a beard at the moment that if I went through American customs, I guarantee you I would have been had my anal cavities searched to see if I've got a bomb in my trousers.
You would get randomly selected if you tried to get on an airplane.
That's the thing here. And this is the thing. I'm not a Muslim, right? I'm agnostic. I'm gonna point that one out there. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing you changed your name legally because.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Right?
You only look like you. You don't have a last name like you. Or,
Yeah.
You know,
but I don't
definitely get
associate
randomly
myself
screened.
with that kind of
No,
thing. I'm a
but
firm believer of
random
if
selection.
you're gonna discriminate, if someone's gonna say something, there was always another story behind it. Everyone's basically going on Gorka Media's side, and Gorka, I'm going to point out, is a dirt rag. They will do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
They're above the law.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is. This is Gawker in survival mode.
Yeah.
If they lost this lawsuit, they
They're
would
firmly,
lose
but they're bankrupt. They're 50 Cent in that motherfucker. And
exactly. That's like a significant portion of their operating budget annually.
Yeah. They've basically destroyed it. But the thing is, for those people who sit there and wag their finger at Hogan, if you're going around and using the N-word, the N-word was a derogatory term that the community took as their own, and people say that to their friends. As far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't be saying it at all. If you're going to condemn someone's using the use of the word, then you should not be saying it at all. Yeah. I agree with the measures that were taken. What was some of the measures that were taken? I don't agree with all of them. And as I said, it's a person who has done a hell of a lot of good for the community. Again, I'm in a firm belief that Hogan is a piece of shit. But
he is. I mean,
but he might be a piece of shit.
Politics, all that.
He might.
But
be
I'm not
going to
hang him out. Yeah,
exactly. He might be a piece of shit, politicking, out for business for himself, shyster. Yeah. But he's not a racist. Okay.
No. Yeah, I'm not. This is the thing, right? I don't like the guy. In my opinion, my opinion I used to like hero worship the guy, and my opinion of him went down the toilet very rapidly. And I
you know what it is? I also think that happens when you get older. You realize your heroes are just people, and you see a lot more of their flaws. Like, a lot of my father's generation grew up supporting Mickey Mantle. Well, now as they get older and they read all books about Mickey Mantle, they realize what a degenerate drunk he was. Excuse me, he gets demystified a little bit.
Oh,
and that's what
Schwarzenegger, who basically
exactly. There's another one.
Basically ended up having an affair with a very. A kind of
carried on an affair with his housekeeper for 20-something years or something.
A beastly looking housekeeper as well. A woman who
had a child out of wedlock.
Yep.
Right.
Supported.
And this is the thing. And people are quick to judge here and stand on their high horses. How many times have you made mistakes? This is the thing out there, people.
Plenty.
Look yourself in the fucking mirror and say, did I make a mistake? I've made tons of mistakes. Hell, I'm living one of my mistakes that I've made at the moment. Right, I'm effectively, for those who don't know, I'm homeless. It's one of the reasons why I've stopped doing all these podcasts and stuff and handed everything over to other people. And I'm now trying to find a way to survive.
Exactly.
Think about this.
Got to worry about yourself.
Yeah, and this is the reason why I sit there and I get really annoyed with people stepping on these soapboxes, trying to sit there. And yeah, I know I've stepped on a soapbox myself.
As Miguel would call them, social justice warriors.
Yeah. Think about yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell me if you haven't used a derogatory term against someone. And this is the thing. There's a whole list of them. I don't like the term.
I could name a bunch of them right now. I have them actually all. I have actually a list of racial slurs. Do you want me to just say them all right now to get them all out?
I've had people who've called me names and called me pieces of shit and stuff. And you know what? I've always looked them straight in the eye and said, cool, that's your opinion. And this is the thing where people don't understand. There's an opinion on a matter, and there's totally and utterly scrutinizing someone for no reason. Now, this is the thing you've got to look.
It's not like we Bochi, Boar Hater, Bog Irish, Bohonk, Bool, Buffalo, Camel Jockey, China Swede, Christ Killer, Coolie, Curry Muncher, Dago, Itai, Gollywog, Groy, Jippo, Heave, Hun, Injun, Jap, Jerry, Jigaboo, Lebo, Limey, Moon Cricket, Nignog, Nigger, he said the second one, Oreo Patty, Pancake Face, Pepper, Pickaninny, Plastic Patty, Pollock, Prairie Nigger, Quashi, Raghead, Redskin, Round Eye, Sambo, Sam Nigger, Seppo, Sheeny, Sheepshagger, Shylock, Smoked Irish, Spade, Spear Chucker, Spick, Spook, Tar Baby, Timber Nigger, Wetback, Wog, Whitey.
Google. Your friend.
Oh,
And that's the thing. If you want to get rid of these words, if you're going to sit there and chastise someone for saying all these
I think
words,
I literally just offended pretty much everybody possible. Thank you
you
very
have your
much.
right to say it. And I'm going to point this out. He has his right to say it. Everyone has a right to say whatever the fuck they want in private. As long as he wasn't standing there
This is
strangling
public.
babies.
This is going on the internet.
Yeah,
Well,
no, but the thing is, he thought it was private, right? And then Bubba the
Right.
Love Sponge, the piece of shit that he is, and I believe that Bubba's a bigger piece of shit than Hogan, and who is openly racist, because Awesome Kong was going to make sure that motherfucker wasn't breathing after the shit he said to her.
She kicked the shit out of this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
To the point where she was going to make sure that he was dead, right? And he said something extremely more hateful. So I know that Bubba is that type of person. If you said to me, Bubba Love Sponge said this, I would sit there and go, yeah, you can burn that motherfucker at stake, right?
But like, here's the thing: Bubba the Love Sponge's lack of character is not on trial here. It's Terry Bollea, and this is what happens when you try and sue a company like Gawker Media that, again, just is going into survival mode. Really, like they're trying
because they're losing. Basically, they've got. I think how much was the amount he's trying to get off of them?
100 million. He's trying to get 100 million from them.
So that's basically they even said they don't have that.
Yeah, that's like double their operating budget or something like that.
Yeah, and you got to think about that. And the way that I see this whole situation, it goes to the fact that you have no right to call this guy by his real name. And I'm going to point this out.
No, that's true. But again, he should have, when he was going for the lawsuit of this amount of money, he should have known that these things could have and maybe one of his legal counselors should have told him, had they done their research and realized that this was on the tape as well, they could have advised him and said, hey, maybe you're not going to get $100 million. We don't want this to come to light because this is going to really mess shit up for you. And you won't be able to really get a job for a little while. You may be radioactive. Take, $10 million or take whatever. That's still a good chunk of money. You'll still be able to be, set for the rest of your life and leave some money to your kids and stuff like that. But,
And this is the thing about the whole situation is Hogan is the stupid motherfucker who basically went through this. And I agree. Hogan,
it's his own pride, brother.
He's stupid. And I'll say it on this way. You will always assess a situation. You always show total transparency.
He's got to be the celebrity. He's got to be the biggest. He's got to go over hard. He's got to go over clean. And this is exactly what he tried to go over clean on Gawker Media. And Gawker Media is Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the game. Low blow.
And that's the big thing here. Now, the people who are conversing about this on the internet, the people are talking about this, and the reason why I'm not defending Hogan's character, right, at all. But all I'm saying is, you do not have the right to judge this man because I guarantee you 99% of the population have said something bad or even worse. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, sometimes
but also
we're drunk or on
99% of
drugs.
the population, though, we can say, 99% of the population isn't on a cable network television show.
No, I agree.
And isn't a major ambassador for a worldwide entertainment entity. So while the punishment is harsh, a punishment had to happen.
No, I agree.
Because it was reactionary.
The thing. If that was me and this got leaked, if I was Vince, I would have been on Hogan's cell and say, right, what the fuck did you just do? We need to now take measures.
I think this could, again, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I think this could have been avoided and mitigated had they been proactive about it.
Yeah.
And,
that's what I said. Hogan's a stupid motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's his own pride. It's his own pride. Because I'm guarantee you WWE's legal counsel didn't advise him to go try and sue Gawker Media for $100 million. No. They would try to use it to settle, but then they would, obviously also avoid against going to trial because that's when...
Saying that, how many times has Vince McMahon fucked over his wife's campaigns when he did stupid shit? How many times have
I think anytime Vince McMahon did something, they're either bringing something that the character Mr. McMahon did on an episode of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, or they're bringing up, the steroid trial
from the early 90s.
Yeah, from 93.
But you got the thing is,
but that's the thing. It's still relevant. If they can access footage of it, they will show it. And this is the thing. It doesn't matter what happens It doesn't matter who said or what said or why it's said. It gets said. Now,
What's Hogan dumber for? Not remembering that he, referred to the people that were trying to help his daughter's music career as fucking niggers, or the fact that he didn't realize he would probably rather, if she were to have intercourse with an African American, he would rather prefer she did it with a 8-foot-tall NBA player, Dennis Rodman, essentially.
Oh God.
The worm.
Again,
Hulkster would rather his daughter get the worm.
Oh!
I will point this out as well.
I just referred to Dennis Rodman's penis as the worm.
If you've basically seen who Hogan's worked with in WCW, if you've seen who he's worked with in WWE, you've seen the people that he's worked with, the guys that he kept in his friendship, the guys that he's worked with over the years. I will guarantee you would sit there and look at this and think, is Hogan a racist? No. Because if Hogan was a racist, he would have been beaten the fuck out of by Mr. T. If he was a racist, Dennis Rodman wouldn't even go near it.
Not even. Just got one word for you people. Haku.
Yeah, the guy that would kill you.
Haku might be the most baddest man in wrestling history.
Yeah.
If all the stories that have heard are true, he might be the most legitimate tough guy. I mean, Bruiser Brody stories were good. Like, Bruiser Brody had some I've heard legendary Bruiser Brody stories. But like, the Haku stories top them all.
But that's the thing, and that's what you got to look at in this whole situation is, before people judge Hogan, they really need to look at the situation and put on your brain. And I hate to say it, but the people really need to do that. They need to put on their brains.
Stop the public crucifixion of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, because the thing is, you've got to look at it as a relative situation. And relatively, in America, there is a whole huge thing going on about racism currently, which the WWE is kind of part of.
I mean, they don't help. But
yeah.
I think that's the one thing you have to look about. It happened in America. If this happens in any other country, this becomes a major story. In America, this will no longer be trending on social media, or this will fade into the background and obscurity. And it'll be like kind of like a relative, like, oh, ha, remember when that happened a few months ago back by the end of this year. Like, people are going to forget about this. This isn't the death sentence for Hulk Hogan.
Oh, hell no.
Like,
it's going to blow over.
No, well,
and he's
at the
gonna be back
moment,
being,
I think it's gonna destroy any ties to the WWE that he has.
I think it's gonna go back to being weird again between him and the WWE. He's definitely, once the smoke clears and all that stuff and he can finally publicly speak about it, I wouldn't be surprised again if they do a cult, wrestling's premier journalist, Mr. Colt Cabana, does a podcast and where, the Hulkster lays down the truth, brother, and really truly shoots from the hip, and tells us his side of the story in great depth.
This is the thing as well. This is the thing that I find very annoying, because Vince has kind of shot himself in the foot, and I'll explain why.
Yeah, because they have to scramble in the middle of Tough Enough production, find a new judge, explain.
Well, not just that. You've allowed the guy who's got access to all your dirty secrets. Hogan has.
I'm sure Hogan has a treasure trove of secrets, but I'm sure also Hogan is.
I think Eric Bischoff got away with doing what he did was because Hogan knew how to play.
Hogan knew where the bodies were buried.
Yes. Yes.
And the fact that WCW had such leverage over the WWE, Hogan, and the fact that they let Hogan go very easily. There was no fight when Hogan moved to WCW. WWE just went, yep, where's your best in the future endeavors, blah, blah, blah.
They were done. Because they had, why? They had the greatest talent known to man. Somebody who, by the way, just turned 50 years old recently, so we want to give a personal birthday shout-out to the person who I feel is the greatest in-ring, all-around performer, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one.
Happy 50th, Shawn.
But that's the thing. That's the thing here, where you look at it and you look at the whole Hogan situation. Do you really want to piss off a guy who's probably going to end up leaking all your shit out as well.
I think Hogan will be bonded by the the code of the locker room and not he's not going to throw anybody under the bus totally because he knows or at least he knows or somebody has been in his head saying, hey, this isn't going to be forever. Give this 6 months to a year, unless he has like a terminal death sentence, and even if he does, then that's just the perfect way for him to come back because he's terminal death sentence. He will be back at some point in time in our lifetime, whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now. It's not going to take 5 years from now, but with sometime in the near future, Hogan will be back on TV.
What I will say is, for Vince and Co., please put your brains back on. Stop scrubbing the guy out.
Could you imagine what that pop is going to be like when Hogan comes back again? You think it's
all is forgiven? You're like son.
Exactly. We're going to be like children again. Oh my God, Hulk Hogan is back! Big, if he could even do a big boot at this point in time, at that time, we're marking out like crazy. We're going to do
my biggest pop was Hogan versus The Rock. I remember that.
My biggest, I put it this way, the biggest pops now that I get when he comes out is when he just comes out of nowhere and you don't expect it. And they don't advertise it. Like, that's the best. Like, when the first time he was back with the company, when there was just that rumblings that he was back, I think it was at, like, when WrestleMania was in Hollywood or something like that, and he came back during that, I fucking lost my mind. Came back red and yellow. Did the big boot and leg drop to
Muhammad Hassan.
Yeah, and that whole
and
thing.
Daivari got blasted, helped Eugene, who was out with an injury.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's you look at that and you look at what's
or could you imagine if he comes back like Hollywood Hogan?
I just think in terms of the whole situation,
all right, here's the thing we'll talk about. What does Hogan do after this?
He's gonna basically, if his lawyers are smart, the people around him, and I'm not gonna say Hogan's smart because he's the one who
really
let this shit get to the level that it's at.
He's the one banging his best friend's wife.
Yeah, and that's another.
So we already know what his number one priority is in life.
Yeah.
God.
It's
pussy.
It's the amount.
Get pussy, make money. Like, that's all. It's a big boot and leg drop, repeat. That's all.
Yeah. The thing about Hogan is he's only as good as his team around him, so he needs to get a new team. I would advise him to kind of, if there's anybody who's close to him that he sees himself as buddies with, he needs to get rid of them and stop.
So you don't think Nasty Nick Hogan is advising him?
Oh, dude, if I saw that guy in the street, I'd probably floor him myself.
Oh, well, all right. Nick Hogan's not on trial.
But that's me, right? I would basically get rid of my little team, and I would do a huge, like, press tours. I'll do charity runs. I'll do whatever the fuck I could do to get.
You know what I do? You know what I do?
What's that?
I bring Hollywood Hogan back and join the Bullet Club, brother. Too sweet.
No. You
wouldn't lose your mind. You wouldn't lose your mind if, like, they were doing something at, like, Wrestle Kingdom or something like that. Hogan was there as, whatever, ambassador to wrestling, because Japanese probably don't give a shit.
The Japanese actually use it as a everyday common word.
Exactly.
They
actually means something completely different if you say it.
It does mean something completely different. They'll be like, if the Japanese heard, they'll be like, why the fuck is he getting chastised for this?
Why he say this? What's wrong?
It just means rice to us.
I'm incredibly racist.
God. You've already said every racial.
I already did. I'm just digging the hole, man. Just digging the hole.
Dig up, stupid.
Hogan was like, I was just speaking Japanese, brother.
Anyway, but like you said, you wouldn't lose your mind if you saw a video of Hulk Hogan giving the big boot to somebody and then putting on the Bullet Club, the black and white.
Nah. I would, if it was me, I would basically get Hogan get Hogan to go around to the lower wrestling.
Hogan was really behind the Bullet Club all along.
No,
I would have Hogan if the Hogan was to join the Bullet Club, I'd have him in a managerial role anyway.
Exactly. No, I wouldn't say he's wrestling anybody.
Yeah, put him as like a mouthpiece or something. Yeah, even though
I would do that, and you know what? Even I would go around the other route. If I was like a big company that was looking for a sleaze jockey, I would hire Hogan. Give him the platform. Let him
see if Howard Stern will bring him on.
Yeah, let him say all the racist slurs that he wants. If he goes that way.
I don't think this new Christian Hogan, because now he's found Jesus
again.
This I think. Well, if I'm not mistaken, the sex tape was in his decline phase. And
So he was
then-
like a virgin, touched for the very first
Yeah,
time.
no, like if you watch
Oh.
that there's that documentary that came out a few years ago about his like quote unquote redemption, where he thought he was gonna kill himself and all this other shit, and then he
Just like a prayer.
found guy.
A voice could take him there.
Oh,
So I don't.
I was
believe
trying
I
to think of
thought-
another Madonna reference, but
Yeah, it's just a bullshit for me. And in terms of Hogan's situation, for me, I would just embrace the hate. I would
just go
do
away
a
for a
PR.
while. Work,
Yeah.
do you.
go and
Get
do
healthy.
two things.
Be a 70-something or however old he is, man.
If you want to be in the spotlight, Hogan, I would suggest you to get a new team, get some great PR things
Hey,
to kind of take
if
away the
the-
heat.
If there's any silver lining to any of this, his booking fee kind of might have just went down a little bit, or maybe it went up. He's got to get as many as he can, but maybe he's going to be a little bit more open to some of these independent bookings and stuff like that. You want to have
And
Hulk Hogan.
I would kind of advise Hogan in this home right as well to just get rid of like all these people around you, all these people
that are clearly advising you wrong. That because clearly,
Yeah.
if I listened to this tape and heard that there was that, I'd tell you, yeah. And I'm an idiot. I'd tell you, yeah, that's not going to play well for you.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
Brandon knows that it's self-destructive, and
I'm
he's
a
used
fucking-
the F word on a show before.
But again, I'm not a public figure. I just do fucking internet podcasts that very few people listen to. I guess if that makes me a public figure, then the
But I
criteria for
agree with you. Hogan's kind of a guy who's lost. He lost his fame years ago, but just didn't want to come out of the spotlight, and so he did the whole
Right.
reality TV thing. I guarantee you, the reason he did the sex tape because he thought it was going to be something where
he could have filed an injunction a long time ago to make sure
Yeah.
no one ever releases it once.
I think this was a plan that him and Bubba
But he
had.
thought, he thought he might get Kardashian famous, brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
maybe that'll help Brooke's singing career. That'll help.
Uh,
Him
people
yeah,
in the
cuckolding
singing.
his best friend's wife, really?
I guess so.
in
Yeah,
my
at least-
in my honest opinion,
Never mind.
you've got the wrong people around you. You need to basically put it all to
Yeah.
one side,
Yeah.
get this shit sorted out.
Because
and focus.
clearly, if you had a lawyer that told you to go forward with this, knowing that was on the transcript, you have a shitty lawyer.
And the fact that he
I
was
Lionel
transparent
Hutz
to
there,
WWE
buddy.
As well.
I'm pretty sure even Lionel Hutz would take any sort of settlement after hearing that. Miguel Sanchez.
As I said, that's what
we'll
I would
take
do.
that.
If I was Hogan, if I was in Hogan's mind here, that's what I would do. I would basically look at it, and I'll do everything to be as proactive as I could in, demystifying that situation. Maybe even do some community service and stuff, talking about how that's a bad word and shouldn't be said in the first place.
Listen, brother,
as
you shouldn't
little-
bang your best friend's wife, brother, because you never
Yeah.
know when someone might be videotaping you, brother, and then you should say some things that you shouldn't be saying on videotape. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I just like, for me, that's what I would do. I would do everything I could to save the career and not.
You know what I would do if I was Hulk Hogan? I would big boot and leg drop Bubba the Love Sponge right now. I would big
We would
boot and
all
leg
love
drop.
you we would all love Hogan if he did that.
I would big boot and leg drop Bubba Love Sponge's head off.
If he could do that to Bubba Love Sponge and Bucky Beaver Kevin Dunn,
Well, I don't know if I don't know if the Hulkster has the same kind of heat with the Dunster that you do, but yeah. Right now I got the heat with Bubba the Love Sponge because he just fucked up my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
Yeah, but that's it. Hogan's made some bad decisions, and he needs.
This
to
is when it all comes. I guess this is when it all comes home to roost, and
Yeah.
I guess if there is some proof of the existence of karma in the universe, some people would use this as proof to it, and we're gonna use this as a moment to tie this all together and do the Iron Sheik tweet of the week.
All right.
Because
Let's go.
The
on
greatest
here.
living Iranian could pretty much sum it up perfectly. So, Nick, whenever you're ready, hit the music.
Fuck him! I talked him! I wanna know, are you the man or are you a fucking piece of shit? No good motherfucker! Fucking bullshit! Bullshit, Hulk Hogan! I'm the ref! All American gold medal!
Nah, all right. So, of course, like I said, we had to redo this whole episode. The Iron Sheik tweet of the week that I picked does not even compare to what Shaky Baby has been saying about this whole situation. And put it this way, I could think of no person better to really, sum it up than the greatest living Iranian American there is. And he said it himself, and it's gotten over almost 2,500 retweets. 2,500 retweets. Wow, try and say that 5 times fast. Iron Sheik says this: I should have broke the jabroni Hulk Hogan fucking leg when I had the chance. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Iron Sheik tweet of the week.
Fucking bullshit!
There we go, yeah. So, I think we've discussed what the Hulk Hogan scenario at great length, ad nauseum, for a while.
Yeah,
that's been the biggest story for the week in wrestling, and that will continue to be. The aftermath from this, what's going to follow. We already know Ric Flair's slotted in to apparently replace Hulk Hogan on Tough Enough. Good for Flair. I'm sure he could use the work.
Yeah,
Now Ric Flair will slot in to that hopeless shill role.
yeah, because Flair does need the work.
Flair always needs the money.
Yep. Still gotta be able to style and profile, baby man.
Exactly. It's an expensive lifestyle to maintain.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the week in wrestling. I don't know, man. We shouldn't really talk about anything else. I watched Battleground. Battleground was great. If you only watched Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens versus John Cena.
Which
and,
pissed me the fuck off.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about that because I want to talk about everything else. I thought was fine. Like, I'm liking the way this Bray Wyatt Roman Reigns feud is going. Mm-hmm. I think this is fucking great. I love the fact that the Undertaker's now gonna step in and kind of take on Brock Lesnar. So we're gonna get a rematch of
I just hated that whole Seth Rollins thing, though, man.
You know what? I think he's the champion. He's the heel. You gotta just make him look as cowardly as possible. He backs it up.
Yeah, but I get that, but he needs his horseman. And the thing is,
I think he will get his horseman eventually. I think
the horseman did great for Flair because they allowed him to be that cowardly heel, but you had a strong team around him.
I mean, he's kind of got that now. He's got Kane,
who he kicked in the leg after he broke it. His leg got busted by Lesnar. Mm-hmm. J&J Security, who have been taken out by Lesnar. They need to cement him, and I think as well, with the whole Cena situation, it's a perfect time to have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins join up because of their mutual disdain.
Oh my God!
Known as
Oh my God! Could you imagine the collective pee pants of the internet that would happen?
Dude, I would jizz my shorts.
Pee pants. They would go full pee pants. Like it would just people would be losing their shit.
I would have like 10 orgasms just the fact.
Exactly. It would It would break the record. It would break the record of the world's largest simultaneous orgasm set by the first time Kevin Owens when he set foot on Monday Night Raw.
Or you know what? You know what you could do? You could have Owens, you could have Rollins, you could have Cesaro. Imagine Cesaro on that team.
Stop it! My penis can only get so hard.
Cesaro holding the Intercontinental Championship, Rollins holding the WWE Championship, Owens holding the United States Championship, and all we need is a tag team. Can we think of a tag
team? The New
Day.
Just put the New Day, because the New Day is great.
Yeah, I like they do, but yeah, we'll just add the New Day in there. And imagine that. So you've got like these people being the relative horsemen for Rollins. These guys protecting him. Owens being kind of like the guy who...
Do you call it Evolution 2.0, or do you got to call him like Daniel Bryan? Imagine
having Bryan be like... Yeah, that would. Oh god, he like.
Could
have
you
him
imagine
jump
that
in
would
there.
again? You break people's hearts with the heel turn like Hogan did in '96. Man,
Yeah, you could have these guys basically running roughshod, collecting championships because I think that's what the WWE needs. It needs a relative heel stable to cultivate around that champion because the Authority are trying to play this whole tweener role.
a
Which
face,
doesn't
but
work.
who's the face really? John Cena's the face. We've really seen John Cena against a heel faction for like what this will be like, Nexus, New
Yeah,
Nexus,
but to me, I
the
would do it in a
core,
way of
which was Nexus
have
3.0.
well, not even have John Cena. Just have these guys hang John
Just
Cena
run
out to dry
roughshod.
and just, yeah, use them as kind of the protective standpoint. I would have Ambrose be kind of the guy.
I think Ambrose seems like they're just his role in the like anti-authority.
Yeah, but I would
position.
have like Cena. I would have Ambrose. I would have Reigns involved in
Yeah.
this. I would even
Yeah.
have. I would have Lesnar in a point where he's kind of the outcast of the situation, but he ends up teaming up with the faces because they need someone to kind of stop this
It
powerhouse.
suits
from dominating.
it suits Brock Lesnar more than it
Yeah.
would.
Right.
Why
Imagine
Brock
imagine
Lesnar wants the
Owens versus
WWE
Lesnar.
title. Brock
Ima-
Lesnar wants the
imagine-
WWE title. Why do we side with Seth Rollins?
Imagine, no, I mean, have Lesnar
With
side
the-
with the faces.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
He'll be like the outcast of the group. Like he'd
Yeah,
like
that's what I
I work alone kind of guy. And they'll be like, well, you know, he's running roughshod at the moment, and Lesnar's like, I can handle him myself. And then you have this group of guys like
Or
surrounding
like
Lesnar.
it's whatever their fourth guy is. Like they have a fourth guy, and it's team face, which like you said, it would be Cena, Ambrose, and Reigns. And then who's their fourth guy? We know they don't have a fourth guy.
It's Brock Lesnar. Oh my
Bum,
god.
yeah, like the people
Yep.
would go lose their
And
goddamn mind.
you know what would be great as
Can you
well?
imagine that at Survivor Series?
Imagine.
That would be insane.
Imagine having Heyman. Imagine having Heyman side with Rollins stable.
Nah, you got because then was
New Dangerous Alliance.
I mean,
I would
yeah,
have a
but
heart attack.
it's great, but you can't take Heyman away from Brock Lesnar at point in time.
No.
That's what makes Brock Lesnar. That makes you. If you take Heyman away from Brock Lesnar, you make Brock Lesnar, you know, at least 25% less valuable of an attraction to watch.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, unless you're literally just gonna have Brock Lesnar come in and destroy people and then leave, because we've obviously proved that he really doesn't give a shit about holding a microphone. And
Yeah, just get Heyman. He's my Jew.
Yes.
exactly. Just if this works, it keeps working. Let's keep doing it. Why are they breaking from that? It's
But
money. Keep
that's
breaking.
the thing. I
Yep.
think there would be money in this stable.
Of
As
course,
a
there's
stable.
money. There's money in the New Dangerous Alliance, but I don't think
Yeah.
doing that at the cost of breaking up Lesnar
Right.
and Heyman, while Lesnar's still an active part of the picture. Lesnar wants to go away for, 6 to 10 months and go hang out on his farm and hunt and do whatever it is our Lord and Savior wants to do.
Be with his
He-
kids, mayor,
Exactly,
Suplex
he's-
City, shit like that.
Exactly. He could, do whatever he wants to do. And then you could do that, yes, but as long as it at the time doesn't, result in the immediate sacrifice of the gold it is
Right.
when Paul Heyman speaks for Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
But as I said, for me, they need to kind of like shake things up a little bit now. The WWE Championship has become less and less relevant on Seth Rollins' shoulder, and the reason being, it's not Rollins' fault. It's because the way that the Authority has single-handedly handled Rollins.
It's because they've basically used it to beat up every major face, and now there's nobody else left. Well, there's one guy left, and we're going to use this to segue into another story that I think has been pretty interesting because somebody released a book this week, and it came out, and they were making all the rounds around the local media outlets.
Bryan himself.
Yes, and he has said publicly on at least 3 major media outlets, including WFAN here in New York, that he is cleared and ready to go compete again by his own doctor. It's the WWE doctors that are holding him back.
Yeah, and a lot of it is because of the situation. He said partly half of it was because, of the Punk situation. The other half is because the WWE have been forced to step up their game a little bit and protect their talent. And I agree.
You think
with
it
the
is? You
fact
think it's
that-
just you think they're just too gun shy right now, even though they
Well,
know.
I did say this before, and the fact that they're rewarding Sheamus for this is ridiculous. he gave Bryan a concussion. The reason why he's out at the moment wasn't because of his neck injury. It was because he got a concussion because of Mr. I need to be so heel. I need to beat this guy up and make him look like a piece of shit. Sheamus. He's been rewarded with the MITB case.
I don't think I can entirely blame it on Sheamus. I think those guys, both went out.
No, I agree. But at the same level, it's like we want to protect this guy. Oh, let's have these two go out and have a fucking Broadway. You really got to look at it and say to yourselves, all right, he needs to change his style. They need to change up the way that things are done.
Do you think they need to see the fact that he can work differently before they'll clear him? Like, I mean, there's obviously something that's stopping them from pulling the trigger, because I'm pretty sure he's not just gonna, sit around and, I'm sure he's content doing Tough Enough and stuff like that, being on TV, collecting a paycheck for being on TV. But, I'm sure he's absolutely itching and dying to get back out on the road and perform in front of live crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what I've seen him, like, because you see a glimpse of, who these people really are when they do these, you see, like I said, I've always said, you see somebody's true nature when they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do radio.
Yeah, to me, as I said,
because at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm tired, but it's cool. I'm having a good time, whatever.
Yeah, but with
that's
his
people.
situation,
Somebody trying to bullshit, but somebody asking him a legitimate question, and he responded like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." They're the ones holding me back. That's somebody who knew what he was saying. I believe Daniel Bryan is smart enough. Bryan Danielson is smart enough to, believe.
I think with them, they're being precautious, and they have every right to, especially after the CM Punk allegations. They need to basically look at the situation, and just both sides need to kind of be happy with it, and that's fine. For me, I care about Bryan's health, and I think, in my opinion, he needs time away. He's not. We've seen it. He doesn't lose his hot streak if he's not in the ring.
No,
People
exactly.
still love him.
Exactly. He comes out on Monday Night Raw tomorrow when we're taping this on a Sunday, so it'll be.
Dude, if he entered the next Royal Rumble and someone else won, people would be pissed. Do you know what I mean? It's
just
no,
like happened last year.
He shows up at a random episode of Raw. That music hits. That crowd goes fucking crazy.
Yeah,
indiscriminately crazy.
Synonymous with the WWE brand, and as far as I'm concerned, all they need to do now is just let the guy heal, make sure he's okay, and if he's ready, fucking let him go. Pull the trigger.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They need him pretty soon because, like I said, they're running out of competent people for Seth Rollins to beat. They're already going back to John Cena. They used John Cena as this tool to build up Seth Rollins as the future. Now it's just going back.
Yeah, I disagree.
That's why that's why I say
like the fact that that he still has the United States Championship.
Yes, exactly. Which is going to why I think WWE absolutely dropped the ball by having Kevin Owens tap out to John Cena.
Yeah, no, I agree. Mm-hmm. It's you've just destroyed someone in
exactly. They ruined like what would have made I think their ratings go up. They ruined the making of someone what could be a next major superstar.
Yeah, because they were worried about John Cena's T-shirt sales.
I think that was Kevin Dunn, Bucky Beaver, right in Vince's ear.
The right person got to Vince McMahon, and they pulled the trigger and de-pushed the guy, and I think it's wrong, in my opinion.
I do. I mean, maybe, hopefully, they're gonna, save him because you're gonna need something for Finn Balor to do on NXT now. How many times can you wrestle Tyler Breeze? Hideo Itami's still a couple months away from, being ring ready probably. Is Rhino really going to be a viable force? Like, I'm literally going through NXT, like who's in NXT that is a viable challenger for Finn Balor. So Kevin Owens does make sense. Samoa Joe,
Yep.
I really do. I think WWE missed a golden opportunity to capitalize on something that could be, one of those moments in wrestling where fans tune in to see it because they never thought they'd see it before. Kevin Steen holding a WWE championship. I would have loved to see 2 months of the Kevin Owens U.S. title open challenge or whatever the hell he was calling it, and then have Kevin Owens back out at the last minute when someone comes and beats him or something like that. Like just like classic heel, or just him beating the shit out of some guy in 2 minutes, and that's it. Instead, now we get a literally wrestling match that is a gigantic metaphor in Kevin Owens versus Rusev in the battle of whose career had more damage in losing to John Cena.
Well, yeah. And the biggest thing about that whole thing is the fact that Owens kicked out of Cena's top rope FU.
I know, guy. It's so incredibly frustrating.
But that's the thing, when I always go back because I can't help but armchair book this.
I know. It is who we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's because, one, I've got the wrestling background. Two, I've written stories. I'm an adult storyteller myself with the appropriate tools and kind of the income at my disposal.
And you see that the potential for great television in Kevin Owens. I think put it this way, I haven't seen a segment either on .com, television, NXT, anything where Kevin Owens looked awkward, where Kevin Owens stuttered in front of a microphone, where Kevin Owens didn't come up with anything other than a natural heel.
I will say this in terms of theatre, in terms of film, in terms of television, all mediums I've been behind, he has presence. He's a guy who you can look at and he will talk, you will pay attention. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing that some people have, like myself. I hate to kind of be an arrogant prick.
No, it's again, put yourself over again on you're the Hulk Hogan of this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's presence. It's you walk into a room, people will pay attention to you, and that's Kevin Owens. He's the guy that could stop a chattering audience very quickly just by saying 2 words to them. And
3 words. Hello, my name is Kevin Owens.
Yeah. There is rarely a superstar that I would actually say on the current roster that could do that. He has the ring ability. He has the mic ability. I do not give a fuck that this guy is fat.
He's fat!
It adds to his charm. The thing that makes him who he is his character, is the fact that he looks like an unshaven, fucking bullish thug, because that is who he is.
He looks like a hockey player.
But he's a thug that can actually use a very varied vocabulary to make you watch him.
Thank you, Nick. 5 minutes too.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for it. I gotta switch his stereo mix up to do it.
He's a very well-educated thug. And this is the thing. He is a guy that you should have as a dominant figure in your mid-card. He should be the United States champion. He eventually should be your Intercontinental champion. He then should eventually be your world champion, because he is a polarizing figure. If Vince is getting scatterbrained and having second thoughts about this guy, then you need to pair him with someone who you believe is going to be the next shining star. I believe Kevin Owens could help Seth Rollins. I believe Seth Rollins could help Kevin Owens. You need to allow these guys to stand out on their own platform. And this is the thing that I hate. And, going back to your old TNA debate, the reason why TNA has failed so badly
is booking is sort of like booking decisions like this. It's head scratchers. Why aren't they pulling the trigger? If I had EC3, I would have pulled the trigger on him first day. He wins the title the first day in the company, because I would have used 3 letters. I come from a land of 3 letters. That makes me better than everybody else in here, except for maybe Kurt Angle, who also came from that land of 3 letters. And that's how I would just run the house. That's how you book Ethan Carter. There you go.
But this is the thing. This is the thing when it comes to TNA themselves. They overshoot their booking style. Their booking style is, I want to go with MVP and have this group behind him, and they're going to be the Beatdown Clan, and these guys are going to be the focal point of the World Championship. Oh no, Kurt Angle's got the title now. Oh no, we're not going to do that. We're going to now give the belt to EC3 after Angle's destroyed everybody else on the roster, including having 2 matches with 2 of the company's big stars in Rockstar Spud and Austin Aries. You have made your bed, TNA. You can now lie in it. Dixie Carter, thank you for taking over a credible company and turning it into a piece of diarrheaed shit.
Well, that was...
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Yeah, if you
Pretty much.
listen to our what we might release at some point in time, our LOL TNA episode, LOL TNA Part 2, I think is what it was. And then we had a bunch of other titles for it.
Yeah, Dave
But
calls
that's the thing,
Schleicher
you know,
we go into full depth. But here's the thing, like I said, they're missing an opportunity to pull a trigger. I'm really hoping that this is all again Russo swerve job, and Kevin Owens is going to challenge Seth Rollins for the title. He's like,
I guarantee
so
you,
what? I lost to John Cena. I want this now.
Guarantee you, Cena is going to have the US title open match, not maybe this week or maybe next week on Raw. And I guarantee you, Kevin Owens is going to come out, have the match,
and
Seth's going to interfere, Kevin wins the championship, and we're all going to sit there, scratch our heads, and go, "Why didn't you just pull the trigger at the pay-per-view?"
Why didn't they just do that from Jump Street?
It made John Cena look strong, and you're going to sit there and go, "What? Why? What?"
Well, no, it's Cena. No, again, remember, anytime it's John Cena, it's Cena wins. LOL.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're gonna have it to Cena lose due to some shenanigans.
Schmaz, as we call it.
Well, it's on an episode of Raw, so it didn't hurt him.
So the defeat doesn't mean quite as much because it happened on a Sunday or happened on a Monday night rather than a Sunday night.
And it happened due to
wrestling is weird.
And due to some shenanigans happening in the ring and running, and then Owens won, but Owens won because it was a dodgy win, and he's a heel, so that works. And that's the thing. To me, the story has an A to B process. You go from the start point, you go from the end point. Well, it's an ABC. So you got start point, middle point, end point. The problem with wrestling is they go from the start point, then they do the middle point, and then they change the end point so much on the fly that they've just destroyed some dude's credibility. Who in next, he looked like a fucking like a gem when he was.
I wouldn't say destroyed credibility. I wouldn't say destroyed credibility. I just think
he should have tapped.
They were gun shy. They use a hunting metaphor. They had a target lined up, perfect dead center headshot, ready to go, and
you should have tried and failed.
Take the shot. Exactly. Have the guy take the shot and have it just be a complete disaster. Yeah. No one likes the guy, or like the guy gets too much heat and like he, becomes unwatchable. Yeah. But I just don't think that would have been possible.
No.
I think
that's the problem.
The people like us, the us kind of fans, would have lost our minds from having him win the title, and then, everybody else I think would have came around and realized. And then I've said it before, it would have been like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the exact same thing the other way. He came in from WCW, and people that had watched his stuff at that time, an old wrestling fan at that time told me at 12 years old, he's like, there's this guy stunning Steve Austin. I was like, I'd heard the name, I hadn't really heard about it. He's like, they're signing him. He's gonna be something big. And then lo and behold,
even Jarrett tried to fuck him over. That's the story. I read Russo's blog. Apparently, Jarrett tried to fuck him over because he cut this thing about. Austin, besmirching Christianity with the Austin 316.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was a stupid promo that he cut. And I remember the promo.
How many times
Austin went backstage,
wrestling? Like, wrestling is so sacred, it dare not insult God. Like, really.
Yeah, well, Austin went to Russo and went, did you write that fucking promo? And
no, no. You gotta say, you gotta do it like this. Did you write that promo? What? Brother, did you write that promo?
And he's like, I'm going to kick him.
Did you go write that dang? Hang on. Do you all go over there and write that dang promo?
That's a fantastic Austin.
That's my Stone Cold voice. It's really not Stone Cold. I'm doing Luke Gallows doing Stone Cold.
You're sounding like Clem.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it on the podcast.
But Austin basically tore Russo a new one and said, if you ever match me up with Jarrett, I hate his fucking guts. His dad basically forced me to live on fucking boiled potatoes.
You ever mess me up with... I can't do it.
His dad forced me to eat boiled potatoes.
If you ever mess me up with Jarrett again, bitch, I'll rip your dang head off, all right? You know what I'm saying?
And shit down your neck, damn you. But
yeah, you just turned him into Arnold. Why?
I did.
I did. Hell?
It's more like this, man. You just got to talk like this.
Oh, hell. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. What? What?
But the whole...
Have another beer.
The whole scenario
another beer.
is...
And then another beer.
It it shows where you've got a guy with a credible gimmick. He's got such talent and such presence to get himself over, and everyone sees them as either an indie darling or a failed WCW character or someone who can't get themselves over, or a workhorse who's going to be a staple in the mid card. But you've got to give them that chance.
I
If you
love
stop
that word. I love that word, indie darling, too. By the way.
Yeah, and it's the WWE's focus, and and this is kind of a constant theme for this episode tonight, where you had people's opinions. People have an opinion that Hogan's a racist. People have an opinion that Kevin Owens is an indie darling who doesn't deserve to cut his teeth with John Cena. Owens proved
he's an indie darling that ain't gonna draw a dime.
Yeah. Kevin Owens has proven from time and time again that he can do it. That he can go toe to toe with the big guys.
Stone Cold really doesn't like Kevin Owens. Shut up.
Steve Austin has proven time and time again that he
Stop putting words in my mouth.
Hogan.
Well, now I just sound like Billy Bob Thornton from Singapore.
Hogan.
I don't mean funny, haha. I mean funny queer. Sorry, Burhan. I'm happy to get that.
Hogan has shown people that he's different from this person that he was, from this mistake that he's made. And at the end of the day, for me, if I was like in the booking committee on the WWE, I would have allowed Owens to get that win. It wouldn't have hurt Cena. It would have allowed Owens to get that win, and you could have Cena pick up that win at another point in time. Do you know? Get a win back, but it wouldn't be for the title. And I wouldn't have had an issue.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be an interesting run going up into SummerSlam, because, like, again, we're having this John Cena thing. You know what? One thing I like, I keep going. I really didn't touch on Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt enough because I think this is a great feud for Roman Reigns. That's not getting enough.
I love the fact they brought back the Wyatt family.
Exactly. It's perfect time to do it. Perfect time to do it because it just makes when Roman inevitably
never should have split them up, but.
Yes.
I love the hoodie thing as well. The way you came out with the hoodie and people.
Well, I thought it was going to be somebody. I thought it was going to be somebody new. Like I thought it was.
I thought too.
Is that Ambrose? Is it?
No, it was too big to be. You knew it was somebody gigantic. Like I forget. I didn't think who it was going to be.
I just stood there and I was like, wait, that can't be Ambrose. He's too tall to be Ambrose.
When I saw the kick kind of gives it away because there's very few big guys that could do a kick like that. So.
But it's I love this. I
like it too. Yeah. And like here's the one thing I like about Bray Wyatt, even if you have him, even if he loses this feud and Reigns goes on to do something like that, he could be the guy that the guy has to go through to get to the WWE title. Like, I just like him, just this whole anyone but you kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, you're not ready to do it. I want the title at some point in time, but nobody else is ready to go, so I'm going to stop you.
Yeah, I do like where he was talking about. He also did that front by talking about Luke Harper's accomplishments, but he's like, we're ready, but anyone but you.
Anyone but you, Roman. Again, this feud here, again, this is proving two things: that Roman Reigns could carry a feud with anybody. I think this is again driving that home.
That Bray Wyatt is a fucking.
Bray Wyatt is.
When he's stinking it up with Ryback, of course,
is on a whole other level. There's what everyone else is doing right now, and then artistically, there's what Bray Wyatt is doing. Bray Wyatt is up on some avant-garde shit right now.
He's the Jake Snake Roberts of the WWE.
Yes, exactly. I was even gonna just compare what he's doing to what Kanye West is doing in music, just doing things that are just not really blowing people's minds. But in a positive way, because I've listened to Kanye West's new music and I'm like, what the hell is this guy? What drugs is this guy on?
His old music.
It's great. It's great. Exactly. That's exactly what Bray Wyatt is doing now. Is what Kanye West was doing from 2007 to 2012. About 5 years. Mm-hmm. Anyway, or that 8 years of his career.
Whatever.
But anyway.
That's the thing, and it's to me he seems like the Picasso in the sense.
Exactly, he's an artist. Promos, even the fact that he's a guy his size who doesn't really appear to be in that great physical shape. The fact that he goes for the amount of time that he goes for proves that he has great cardiovascular strength, and two, the things that he could do in the ring. Shows unprecedented athletic ability for a guy who deceivingly impressive athletic ability because he doesn't look like
and again, number one factor here. Say it with me, children. Presence.
And he has a presence.
He has oodles and oodles of presence.
He has nothing but presence.
Yeah, and I think eventually this man will have.
It's Christmas. That's how much presence he has.
Yeah, he will eventually have the championship around his waist.
Yeah.
It won't be now,
time.
But it will eventually happen.
It'll be when he wants it to.
Yeah.
When the powers that be, need a. Because again, every once in a while they need one of these mythical forces to be the champion, and he is the new.
It's
mythical
basically
force.
like the Undertaker versus Sid, where they needed someone in the title picture, but the main guys were in other feuds. Like Shawn Michaels was in another feud, Bret Hart was in another feud, so they've just slotted.
And they had really done the Shawn Michaels Undertaker thing.
Yeah,
kind of, not to death, but it was done before, and why rehash a match that they did a few months ago. Here, at least, there's something new or newish.
Yeah, and I think Bray Wyatt is going to be the guy who will end up taking the title off a guy who's kind of the.
I could even see Bray Wyatt like being a Money in the Bank winner and then cashing in on the same night, like that kind of opportunist level stuff.
But I would actually see him like the way he'll cash in. You would just see like the lights go.
The flashlight.
Yeah, the light open up, and then Bray Wyatt's there. People are just like, "Oh my fucking!" like losing their shit.
Here's how I picture that scenario. Lights go on. He's holding the briefcase in one hand and a referee in the other.
Yeah.
And the referee is like stunned, like, how did I get here?
Or he basically the lights turn on and he's like beating down on the dude, and the referee's running to the ring. He gets the case, gets Sister Abigail, gets the guy, pins him, and then he's just standing there peering into your soul with the world championship in his hands, and everybody is fucking their jaws to the floor.
It's a pay-per-view ending. Like, you don't do that. You don't give that away on a Raw. That's a
that's a fucking WrestleMania ending, in my opinion.
It's a WrestleMania quality ending.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that would be on a pay-per-view that you want to hype it as one of the big three.
Is Bray Wyatt worthy of that? Is that Bray Wyatt's WrestleMania moment? Like, you wait for him to give him the title. That's his big moment. You don't call it just his entrances alone.
It's not just entrances, it's the whole character. There's the only time I've ever seen a character as well made, well produced,
exactly everything,
well wrestled, who has all those tools, is either a guy like Jake Roberts or the
exactly. If Bray Wyatt was a preacher in a religion, whatever religion he was preaching,
follow him.
I'd fucking follow him. He could be David Koresh. I would follow him.
He is a guy that can make you hang on his every word, and he's not the most eloquent person. He's not the most.
You know what it is? He knows what he's doing. Like, he has his particular style of promo, how he cuts, the cadence of how he talks. I always thought he had a writer write his stuff, or at least work with a writer. Apparently, it's completely the opposite. He just writes his own stuff. That puts him on a whole other level.
It's like Dusty. Dusty was one of his main proponents.
Dusty was who taught him, but all that stuff, everything he's ever done, promo he's ever done as the Bray Wyatt character, all those like vignettes of just him looking into the camera talking, which exactly all those are the best. Like, that's like the best way to build the character. This character, the best way for him to cut promos. It's perfect. It kind of loses something when he's in the ring. He's got it. It's great. It can't be any better.
No, I agree. And this is what they need to do for SummerSlam. They've got to use those proponents. They've got to use the well-developed talent. And I think, in my opinion...
Have Roman Reigns... Here's the thing. You want to make Roman Reigns look real strong, have him take on all three members of the Wyatt family. I
wouldn't just him
Roman's
versus...
out.
Sorry. I wouldn't have him versus all three. I'd have him in a tag match. Have someone... They're kind of, at the moment, looking at the idea of having Sting, Roman, and Ambrose versus Bray, Luke... and a new third member of the Wyatts.
Big Show.
Which I have no issue with whatsoever.
Who would be a third member of the Wyatt? Because it's kind of weird.
Call someone up from the from OVW, from NXT, or maybe bring someone in from the Indies to take the spot.
I mean, technically the only person that I could see that fitting into the Wyatt family is Mark Briscoe. But Mark Briscoe ain't going to the WWE anytime soon.
They've said they're done. They're not. I don't.
Nah, man, them boys ain't going to the WWE.
I don't think they'll ever go, and a lot of it is because of the fact that WWE keep lowballing them every time they're offered.
That, and I think they're good, but I don't think they're quite the type of talent WWE looks for.
Well, they've looked at them a couple of times.
No,
they
I'm
wanted
sure.
to to NXT, but I just don't think they would give them the same pleasure as a guy like Samoa Joe.
They wouldn't have as good of a time.
And that's all fair.
But that's like saying I don't really see there anybody else coming from the Indies. I mean I guess Rowan's not ready to go just yet. So I mean if you had to find somebody to go in, I guess you throw somebody in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Maybe a temporary replacement for Rowan and have Rowan destroy the guy afterwards. Who knows? But to me, as I said, I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. I don't like Taker versus Lesnar. Everyone's all hyped. I think Taker looked really shoddy in comparison.
I disagree. I think he looks all right. Like, the Tombstone was fine. Obviously, you can't lift Brock Lesnar straight up. That's like, 260 something pounds.
The thing is, I don't think he's ready to be in the ring anymore. But they can work around that.
He's not ready to be in the ring every week and work that schedule. But, if given a couple weeks to get himself in the ring, get himself into shape, he could work a 15, 20-minute match once every 6 months.
Raw got rid of all my doubts. I like the fact that Raw got rid of all my doubts with the brawl that those two are having.
Yeah, you know what this actually kind of reminds me of? This kind of reminds me of American Badass heel Undertaker. Like, I originally thought, like, once the Undertaker rumors surfaced, I thought they were going to use Hogan completely different. Like, I mean, use the Undertaker completely different. Like, I thought, he would have been helping Brock Lesnar win the title as opposed to helping Brock Lesnar lose the title or something like that. Like, Kane was going to help, try and take out Brock, and then Undertaker suddenly appears to, set his brother right, I guess, and set up like one more feud between them. I thought, but this makes sense. I'm okay with this. The way this went off.
But that's the thing. I think they need to basically build a very solid card for SummerSlam, and I hope they do. How many weeks have we got?
We got a full month. SummerSlam is
August, right?
Yeah, August 23rd. Yeah.
So we got a full month for SummerSlam to happen, and I'm all for watching a great SummerSlam, but in my opinion, I think WWE, their creative team, need to sit down and go, okay, we need to build these guys. We need to look at more the long-term plans for each of these characters instead of doing it. I think what's hurting them currently is the day-by-day thing.
They need to set the plan for the next 4 weeks quickly, and then spend the next 4 weeks of creative meetings spending what they're really going to do either up to Royal Rumble or Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and beyond. Because
and I also think about the Stephanie McMahon introducing the NXT Divas thing. I felt that was very badly done. A lot of people were just like,
we talked about it on the show. They're already, what's going to be the lost episode, but they're already selling merchandise. They already cut up the ring apron canvas of that show and are selling it in collective plaques and stuff like that. Like, all right, that was a momentous occasion, but I don't think this is distribute commemorative pieces of the ring.
I don't think it was handled well either, because I just don't think Stephanie coming out and her saying, I'm introducing these people because you need help.
Because she has a vagina.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was like, why? What significance do you have? And it's the thing in storytelling, guys.
Them bitches just should have showed up on their own. To quote.
Yeah, you have a fucking TV film production facilities, and you don't understand the fucking art of storytelling, which is
or even like
has to make sense in some form or fashion.
Paige herself could have been like, all right, now I'm even in the odds. You guys, you have Nikki, you have your sister and Alicia Fox.
I wouldn't have done that.
For whatever reason.
Done that. I would have had just like Paige getting beaten down again, and then you would have these girls just do a run-in. You would have Charlotte running.
beat
you would
Paige
have
down all the time. Sorry.
you'd have what's her name? I've forgotten what the Irish girl's name is.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch do the running.
Sexy Becky Lynch.
And then you have Sasha Banks come out to do do the running as well, and these girls are taking them out, and they're all like standing by with Paige, and then you could have a little bit where they have like a 4-on-4 match. Then Sasha Banks kind of turns on her and sides with like the other 3 girls and call themselves BAD, whatever the fuck they call themselves.
Yeah, Beautiful and Dangerous.
Yeah.
Which is Sasha Banks, Tamina, and Naomi.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. This is a this is a
sense.
momentous occasion where I understand this is a momentous occasion for the Divas division because they're doing something with it, whereas opposed to before we're kind of really doing nothing with it. So
it's still not sliding in the right direction. It still needs. There's still work that needs to be done. It's like you're saying that you've patched up a house that had a leak.
Yeah, exactly.
But you still need to correct.
But the house is still on fire.
Yeah, you've got to correct the issues.
Oh, I fixed the leak. Yeah, but your house is still on fire, though.
But that's the thing, and I've always said this about the whole corporation authority figure bullshit that they're doing at the moment. These guys they don't allow themselves to be seen as heel or face, which is.
I also just think because it's Triple H. Triple H has an inherent group of fans. Like I as a wrestling fan, I've been cheering for the guy pretty much nonstop ever since 1997.
Yeah, but I've seen him he's a heel. The character he's playing at the moment is a heel. Stephanie is a heel. They're doing what's best for business, which means they're doing things to stack their.
But
own
I like it even as like I know it's a heel, I like it as a heel. Like
I don't like the fact that they turn on their own guys and go, "Hey, Seth, we're going to put you against Brock Lesnar," and then they're like, and they kind of iterated to the fact that Taker made a deal with the authority to come back and take out Lesnar, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think this is kind of like subtle nods to like old school, American badass heel Undertaker.
Yeah, but then you had Stephanie come out.
Undertaker is siding with his friend.
Says, yeah, but then you have like, I've announced these other divas to come on the roster, and it's like, Stephanie, what the fuck are you doing there? What place do you have in this? Why does it make sense in that world? And I'm not saying it has to make sense as it's got to be logically, and because wrestling is not logical. Storytelling isn't logical. It has to make sense in the reality that you're creating, in the realm that you're creating it in. And all this shit that they've been doing doesn't make sense. And it's kind of what bugs me, because I sit there and I'm trying to find logic, like in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment as a WWE fan. And there's little things that irk me, like the Divas, when they introduced the Divas onto the roster, or when Owens tapped out to Cena. It irks me because there was no logic behind it. Logic would have dictated that Owens should have won that feud.
Well, I mean, look, anyone with an
even if it was a shady, if you wanted to make Cena look strong, it would have been a shady finish.
Have Owens win with a low blow and whatever, but
or have Owens win with some interference from like J&J Security, and he'll be like, "Why has J&J Security helped Owens?" Do you know what I mean? And then you have the proponent with Cena coming in, going to Rollins, "Your boys came in. I've got a bone to pick with you. What have you got with me?" And like, you could have Rollins do the whole "I'm backing off" sort of thing. And then in a great match, you have Cena versus Owens, and Cena's gonna win. And then have Rollins and J&J just come in and beat the fuck out of Cena. Owens start beating him up, and you're like, "Oh, dear God!"
You don't even need that. You don't even need that, because anybody with eyes and like a sense of really what's going on could just sense that the momentum going into that match.
You could even have it where you have Owens and Rollins lock eyes, just look at each other and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me you wouldn't have a boner, Brandon.
I would appropriately mark out for that, because it's just like, yeah, they respect each other. They're not going to go after each other. But I would mark out just as much as if Seth Rollins didn't have an opponent going into this, SummerSlam build, and Kevin Owens decided to slot himself into that. I would have just as much enjoyment with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there are certain angles that you can play something, and certain things that you can do, which makes logical booking sense in that environment. to make those stories shine a lot more and to allow people to come in and see what's going to happen next. And when you don't make those logical decisions because you're afraid, or you have Stephanie McMahon come out and ruin something because she wants to be the forefront of
Or you have
divas,
Bucky Beaver
of
getting
women's...
Vince's ear because Cena's losing his merch sales by a little fucking bit.
Yeah. Which is going to happen because you're going to have kids sitting there going, he lost, I don't want it anymore. Oh my God. And then realize that, oh, actually, you can see it and there's tangibles there in a sense. And that's the thing. You've got to look at this. And I hope SummerSlam gets booked logically. This is what I want. I want some sense of logic in that universe. If it turns into a title versus title situation where we end up seeing the United States title amalgamated into the world title, I will be pissed. Because you've got too much talent there to be squandered with not having two mid-card divisions, in my opinion. You might as well just put the majority of your talent in NXT because no one's going to go over the fucking, the world champion. And that's the problem. WWE always keeps smacking themselves to this corner where they have someone and they destroy any aspect of anyone new challenging that person. Fuck, you know what you could do? Here's a funny thing. He's saying that he's beaten everyone. You could have had Cesaro come out and say, well, you haven't beaten me.
Haven't beaten me, bitch.
Yeah. He's got momentum going. He destroyed. He had a fucking amazing 2 days in a row. He had amazing matches with Rusev.
I mean, you could just. He's had an amazing. He hasn't had a bad match since he got into that company. Let's face it. Cesaro
and have him in there, and people will just be like, "What the fuck are they pushing Cesaro? Are they not pushing Cesaro?"
Finally, oh my God.
Yeah, because you've got the main event. You've got the main event, which is The Undertaker versus Lesnar. You could, just by putting the WWE title as a second-tier event, which is going to be anyway with Cena in there, it's not going to be a co-main event. It's going to be a secondary match to the main event. It's the precursor, so it's going to be slotted somewhere in the middle. You could have played it by having Cesaro in that, and people would just be like, what the fuck? Is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And have it so that Cesaro gets like a couple of wins here and there. Seth Rollins is fucking rolling in it like, oh shit, this guy's got momentum. They do everything they can to kind of, squash it, but he keeps coming. I would love that. It's a great underdog story, and I'm not saying have him win the title at the end of it, but you could have tested the waters like you did with Chris Jericho versus Triple H way back in the day to see if he could get that reaction, if he could win the fans over, if you're not overshooting. And that's the thing they could do here. Because you've got your main event cemented, you could test the waters a little bit just to see, would it work?
But we'll never know, man. I mean, like I said, it's going to be an interesting SummerSlam build because they got to do something. And I really just think because they didn't have anything, they default, let's put John Cena in the title picture. Whether or not it is just to, further prove that, Seth Rollins is that great of a talent and he is worthy of that title. Who knows to be seen? Or I really hope this isn't them, letting John Cena tie Ric Flair's record, because I've said several times that that record should never be broken.
No, I agree.
Never even be touched.
So I think that's it, isn't it, for tonight?
Yeah, I think we have pretty much talked about everything there talk about in wrestling. I did kind of want to do where Brandon talks about Japan for 5 minutes. I don't really care if anything knows about it. Biggest story coming out of G1, because it is G1 month in New Japan. Michael Elgin is getting over in New Japan. Yes, that's right. It's actually happening. Michael Elgin is getting over and apparently enjoying his time in Japan. Who'da thunk it? Maybe this means we'll see more.
Who basically wasn't good enough to hold the Ring of Honor Championship.
A guy whose heart has been called into question many times by people that are probably not worthy to lace his boots, talent-wise. But
he's an amazing athlete.
He's an amazing athlete. He's an absolutely physical, great, amazing physical specimen to watch in the ring.
And also for his height as well, the fact that he can do the shit that he can do for that height is amazing. He's like, absolutely. I think he's shorter than me.
He's a very impressive,
He's a specimen of a human being.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently he's enjoying himself down there at the G1. So maybe he goes further in that, I don't know, I will be giving a weekly G1 update as it goes on, all up until we get to the G1 final. I don't really have an odds-on favorite yet, although you will probably obviously see some permutation of the big three, Nakamura, Okada, and Tanahashi in there. Some point in time.
Can you access G1 for $9.99?
I don't know what New Japan World is, but I think it kind of something might be $14.99 or something like that, But
Ooh, a little bit more expensive, but
a little bit more expensive. See, it's a little bit more expensive, and I don't think it's in English too.
And you also get to see some of the best wrestlers out there, ladies and gents.
Well, I guess you got to pay a little bit more of the premium, but I'd rather just go see some of the best wrestlers in the world when they come to my local minor league ballpark. I guess again, SummerSlam weekend is going to be a big weekend for wrestling because.
You got Ring of Honor, you got GFW.
Yeah, you got everybody. Bullet Club is also coming to town. They're gonna do one of the indies in New York City.
I do love the fact how GFW is trying to cash in on the whole Bullet Club thing.
Well, I mean, if they're smart, that's how they would get people in the door.
Exactly.
Man. So, yeah, that's it. You want to get the plugs, and let's get on out of here?
Yeah.
Yep. If you guys want to check me out, youtube.com/TheNerdGenius. Basically, the channel's going to be transitioning soon over to a little thing called My Journey, Mike's Journey, in a sense. It's the MYKE journey. And it's a documentary that I'm doing called Homeless in the EU. And I'm trying to sort out a few things at the moment to see how it's going to be shot at the moment. The idea is to shoot it on my iPhone, do the kind of Megas quality, gorilla quality, and do like updates telling people where I am, what places I am, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, to try and turn a negative into a positive. But we shall see. And secondly, I've got a couple more videos going on for the next couple of days, which I shot previously. One of them's already gone up, which is an Ask the Minions with the little people in my life who wanted to do a video of you guys asking them questions. A question was asked, which was what their favorite video game character is they like to play. So they did that video. It was a nice little video. I enjoy doing that little thing with them. And that's pretty much it, really, as well. Stay tuned to nerdgenius.com. A lot of it's going to be full of all those little bits and pieces. I'm going to be uploading a couple of short films that I've done as well, and just seeing how things go. Because in the end, I don't know where I'm going to be headed or how things are going to be headed, but all I know is I'm going to try and do as much as I can in terms of my passion and what I love, while I'm still in the situation that I am. Because remember what they say, once you're down, the only way is up. So yeah, it looks like today is probably going to be my final Slamcast until this situation is sorted out.
All right.
Go. Try and not get all misty-eyed and verklempt. Go ahead, Nick. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. You can find me.
I did that with you about it because you're the one guy that we were missing on the last show.
You find me.
Well, then now this is the last show. So there, fuck that last show.
All right, can I do my plugs before we?
You can do your plugs. I'm done.
You can find me over on YouTube at the Gaming Pegasus 187. I'm trying to get a video up tonight. It's Sunday, so yeah, I'm gonna get Slamcast up first, and I'll do stuff on my own channel. I'm over on Twitter at Gaming Pegasus 187. I'm on Facebook at Nick Horaceck. I'm over in the Wrestling Revolution Facebook group, posting wonderful Hogan, Randy Marsh memes with apologies to Jesse Jackson. I'm over on Xbox Live and the Wii U at Pegasus 187. I'm actually playing a lot of Castlevania 3. That game is fucking hard as balls. Why did I put it on my summer backlog? I don't fucking know. I guess I'm a masochist. But I'm over on Supercard at Pegasus 187. I'm all over the place. Brandon.
All right, everybody. All right, yeah. If you like listening to me, wow, can't talk right now. If you like listening to me rant and rave about anything that I talked about, reading a long list of swear words, racial slurs, and all sorts of that kind of good stuff, you can follow me on Twitter at @BrandonAllHope. I'm on there. I tweet at things. You could ignore me trying to hit on women, because that's something I do. The thirst is real. Yeah, that's about it. Twitch. twitch.com, Brando Calrissian 420. Gonna do some twitching things coming up soon. That's a thing that's gonna happen, definitely. Yeah. So, for our comrade who is not here for this tone, but was on that for this one, Mr. Dave Wade. For Miguel Leon, just because I wanted to say hi, Miguel. Hi, Miguel. For Hulk Hogan, may he, weather the storm bravely, brother. Get through it. For the corpse of Brutus or Brody. No. So for all those people involved, I'm for Nick Horaceck, for Michael Burhan. I'm Brandon Liggan. Go forth and spread beauty and light. Peace, love, and humptiness. Let's go. Play my damn theme song and let's get out of here. No, hey, you know what I forgot to do on this? I forgot to say, hey, you should go out there and support the independent wrestling, because you should do that. So go out there and support independent wrestling. Bye.
Bye.
What? Go out there and support independent wrestling? What?